And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of DeathStryke Media's Force Friday show. Look, it is not just me this time. We've got the full panel of panelists. We've got James down there, the very, very far end. We've got Sean back finally after 2 weeks. He's back. He was out in the, outer rim area doing some shady things. Anyway,
I hope he got paid well.
But we're all back. And how's your week been, James?
Oh, same old. Just taking it easy at the moment.
That's good.
If I can just do my mutated version of Sean's catchphrase, I'm getting about what I deserve.
Getting about what you deserve. And how about you, Sean? How's the 2 weeks out in the outer rim been for you?
I would like to say better than I deserve, but I think the universe is trying to catch up with me.
Well, because you keep saying that every week.
Well, yeah.
It's like, well, if better than you deserve, eh? Well, I'll take you down a few notches and make you think about that for a minute.
They keep trying, but they don't know where I keep burying things.
I guess that's why you keep going to the outer rim. They'll figure you out eventually.
And you, sir?
I've been excellent. It's been a fun week. I've been watching all the new stuff that's been coming out with Comic-Con and D23, and it's been soaking it all in. And it's been good.
The whole weekend of really cool news.
Exactly. Yeah. And being the Star Wars show, we're just going to focus on the Star Wars stuff, but we had a lot of fun stuff that came out of Comic-Con. So, with that being said, if you are new to the show, welcome. If you're a returning patron of ours, all 46 of you now.
Hey,
thank you. All right, we're growing. All 46 of y'all. Thank you guys for coming back, and thank you for any new people who are here as well. How this show works, we have some Star Wars topics, say about 5 or so, and we simply run them down and talk about them and poke fun of each other and hopefully have some fun along the way.
Yes.
And I will open it up with actually some San Diego Comic-Con news. If you were fortunate enough to go to San Diego Comic-Con and enjoy the 50,000 people that were there, or however big it is now, you will notice that there wasn't a lot of Star Wars topics that came out. There was some smaller stuff, which was always good because they had D23 the week before, and they showed their behind the scenes sizzle reel, and that was kind of cool, and some new posters. But we got a whole list of new books coming out, whole bunch. Some that we knew about, and some we didn't know about. Some of the ones that we didn't know about was the Stormtroopers Beyond the Armor, which sounds like a very interesting thing to maybe learn some stuff about Stormtroopers we didn't know, or maybe more of their mythology, where they came from, and stuff like that. We also get the Art of the Last Jedi, which is cool. If you've seen any of the old from like the past books, all the art of, say, like Rogue One or Art of The Force Awakens, are beautiful, beautiful renditions, and they have a lot of stuff that cover from early renditions of some of the creatures, some of the vehicles, all the way up to ILM's rendered final images of what they're going to look like. Beautiful stuff. And of course, we get the Last Jedi visual guide. The visual guides are the best thing to look at because they usually have some sort of Easter eggs that they come out with early if you're paying attention. And they're really cool. They have exploded views of the old ones had exploded views of lightsabers. I know they had Kylo Ren's and the Force Awakens ones. They had vehicles will be exploded, so you kind of see each compartment and stuff like that. Very cool stuff. And they kind of label the new stuff that we don't know yet. But the most important book that's coming out, I'm saying the most important, is Shoiw and the Porgs. Trust me, it's gonna be a page turner. What do you got? What do you think about the new books coming out there, James?
Yeah, I was shocked at how long this list was because
it's massive.
because I thought, oh, it's Star Wars. They showed everything at D23. They're not going to have a Comic-Con presence, but yeah, like going over the notes this week, I thought, wow, so many books out there, and I like how they got a good number of activity books for the kids and the big kids. You can make your own X-wing. You can make a BB-8 out of wood, which as a BB-8 fan I like.
Yep.
I think that they went a little too far with the Star Wars cookbook titled BB-8, and it's 8 spelled A-T-E.
BB-8, yeah. Well, there's...
See what they did there, yeah.
Even with a galaxy far, far away, you still have recipes to cook, and you can make Star Wars inspired
Well, I was
stuff.
worried because BB-8 is on the cover, and I'm like, don't eat BB-8.
He's made of metal.
He's made of metal. You can't do that.
Sorry, this reminds me of a movie that shall not be named. They had a cooking episode.
They did. They
part of the
totally
movie.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starring Chewie, by the way.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
like Chewie's mom. Or
wife
it
or
was-
mom.
Yeah.
It was a part of Star Wars back when Star
Do
Wars
not
was...
talk about this movie.
It happened.
It
happened.
If you know what we're talking about, yay, we're sorry.
We're sorry. Go on. Sam.
I was going to say, if you're going to buy a coffee table book, do you think you'd buy one of the Star Wars ones?
I have in the past. The thing is, being a Star Wars geek long before it was as popular as now, especially the drafting aspect, the exploded views, gave you a sense that this was real technology. This was a real world. This was something you could actually visit and explore. But I'm more focused on the Beyond the Armor, because I feel it's going to have not only like with the Clone Wars, where you got to see the guys who would be the future stormtroopers, but also the Das Boat effect, where you're watching a film about Nazis, and you don't want to root for Nazis, but at the end of the movie, you're rooting for the bad guys, quote unquote, and you feel good and bad simultaneously. So with a book like coming, Beyond the Armor, it's this weird conflict to make it more into a gray area of who the bad guys are, who the good guys are.
I've noticed with Lucasfilm books or Star Wars books, especially recently, we've had a lot of humanizing the Imperial side of things. Like right now, I'm halfway through Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad, and it follows the a couple of Imperial officers who are special forces, and they're humanizing them. They're like by the way, although they're officers and they're going to be what we see in the films, there's like they're hard asses, they're bad guys, they just want to oppress people. They have families. They were humans, because most of them are human. They grew up in a world. They had friends, and they did things, and they had friends they lost, say on the Death Star versus a planet like Alderaan. But it's an interesting sort of switch viewpoints from what we've seen in the past. For like all the other Star Wars books, at least most of them have been in the viewpoint of the good guys. You got Luke, Han, and Leia and stuff like that. And now it's been a huge flip, and I've been loving it. I think what you said is great. You get to a point where you really want to root for these guys to pull out in the end. But like, I'm rooting for a bad guy.
Yeah, these guys technically are the bad guys, and I'm sympathizing with them.
From my point of view, the
Jedi
good guys are evil.
Yeah, from a certain point of view, said by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But like all this is reminding me of that pretty well-known meme where there's like an action figure of a stormtrooper with his head down, his helmet in his hand, saying, "I had friends on that Death Star."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've seen that meme. Yeah, that's right. Maybe I'll throw it up in a little corner. But yeah, I'm excited for all these books. I'm really excited for the big novels. Of course, they're going to have the novelization of The Last Jedi, which I'm looking forward to as well.
These look cool. Like the visual dictionary looked really cool. Just definitely something I would get after the movie, because
they won't come out until after the movie.
Okay, good. Yeah. See, that was one thing I failed to research, which was the release date for all this stuff.
Yeah, so a lot of times when they release these things, sometimes they'll put like a few pages on Amazon for like a preview if you want to buy it. Downside is they did that last time, but someone didn't double check, and there's some spoilery stuff in there.
Oh, no.
Like, that's how that happens.
Sounds like Lego again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know if it's oversight or what, but sometimes that happens.
Yeah,
toys are notorious for spoiling things.
Yeah.
So,
or like back in the day, I remember when Episode 3 came out, a buddy of mine bought the Episode 3 PlayStation 2 game and played out the entire movie, because they had cinematics and plot lines from the movie. So he knew how it was going to end, days before the film came out. Another friend of mine had.
Well, anyone could have guessed how that movie was going to end. We got to see Anakin.
Well, yeah. But no, like it's like the cinematics were very much part of the movie, or like of the movie. So he had virtually watched it, and then a friend of mine also read the graphic novel that released that came out like a few days before the movie.
Yeah, that was back when anybody was publishing Star Wars.
Right.
So, funny thing, speaking of video games. They actually ruined Episode 1. It wasn't a toy or a book. It was actually the soundtrack.
Right.
The soundtrack
Very
came
famous.
out a few weeks before the film came out, and I think one of the tracks was like Qui-Gon's demise or something like that. And like, oh, thanks. We know how Liam Neeson's character dies.
Like, so something happens to Qui-Gon? No, really?
Yeah.
He was so cool.
Exactly. So, just maybe they'll have some more, foresight or something. Foresight.
I see what you did there. Yeah.
That didn't come out as way as intended, but it's okay. That's okay.
It was a happy accident.
It was a happy accident.
Yeah. No, like I can say a lot about Disney, but one thing I'll compliment them on is they run a tight ship.
They do. D23 had the best security, because clearly that the Infinity War trailer didn't leak. So
not until after Comic-Con.
It makes you wonder, as great a security they have, it's just like not only do they have the U.S. working for the security, but they have the Russians working for the security. They're hiring the North Koreans and the Chinese.
Yeah. But Disney can run a tight ship, and it's kind of like how the Empire can run a good galaxy if you guys would just let them.
That's right.
Just get on board with the program, man.
World War II didn't end well for them. That's anyway.
Moving on.
So, well, keeping with the published stuff, this was published by Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni, if you didn't know who Dave Filoni is, he is the creator and the director for the Star Wars Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and he loves putting out stuff that makes people go, I had a theory about that, but now it's different. And he loves to do that with the character Ahsoka, because we always like the end of season 2 of Rebels. What we see is Ahsoka might have been killed, right? And he's been playing with the audience ever since. We've had our discussions about that, but in an unreleased sort of like conversation that he put on Twitter or Instagram, pick one of those. This is one of those.
Social media.
Social media.
Sometimes they're bound together.
Exactly. So he actually put up an illustration he did between a conversation between Ahsoka and Kanan about how they actually knew each other when they were both Jedi at the Academy on Coruscant. Although they weren't friends per se, they knew of each other, and they did some training together. And the conversation kind of went like Ahsoka was telling how gifted Kanan was with the lightsaber and how she was always looking up to him while they were students, and he was saying how she was always ambitious and outgoing, and he was never like that, and he was always trying to achieve that later on. And I think it was a great scene. It's a cool conversation. It kind of gives more meaning behind their friendship and relationship they had prior to that. Kind of, I don't know. For me, it was kind of like a warm, fuzzy feeling, like they knew each other back in the day, and then old friends coming together and continuing on a fight. I loved it. Did you guys see this at all, Sean? Did you see this?
No, and for me, I always have mixed feelings when I find out something like this, because one of the great complaints that a lot of the old school guys, all the graybeards like myself, is like, the more they release, the more Arkansas it has as a feel.
Yeah, it's small. It gets smaller
when Luke finds out that he has the hots for his sister, and that his father was actually the mass murdering Vader.
Yep.
The universe just keeps getting smaller and smaller, and you know, it's cool that Ahsoka knew Kanan. You know, in a lot of ways, yes, they did. It's like
they're about the same age.
They're about the same age. They went through the same alum. In a lot of ways, that's cool, but in a lot of ways, it's hand in glove.
I agree. I just thought it was it was a very small, quick conversation that never made it into an episode, and it's not considered canon by any means because it was never published into an episode. This is what would have been published but didn't, so it's not canon. It's just like this was Dave Filoni's idea for part of an episode that never got made. So if you don't know about canon, anything that's published in a book, anything that's in a movie that's on the screen, or a TV show that's on the screen, that's canon. Anything that's left on the cutting room floor, or on the still boards, or on the storyboards that didn't make it into the film, not canon. So it's not canon, but it's just fun to think about. So that's how I like it. And thoughts further on that one or anything?
One of these days, I'll get around to watching Rebels.
You disappoint me.
When I'm beating somebody and watching something modern.
Yeah, you got to catch up. They're going to start season 4 at the end of near the end of the year, so you can binge watch it on Netflix.
When's the show just going to end so I can binge watch the entire
After
thing?
season 4.
Okay.
Just sleep in the season 4.
It's like
you read books, so that's something.
Yeah. Currently reading Dune, and I'm 2 weeks behind on my comic book shopping, so I got some catching up to do.
No, well, okay then.
And I still got to start season 12 of Supernatural as well.
Oh my gosh, Supernatural, really?
Yeah.
We discussed a lot of things on this show about Star Wars. I mean, we never talk about comics, really. We never talk about video games because they don't interest me. I started the Darth Maul comic, lost interest. So I'm not a big comic guy when it comes to Star Wars. But I'm so right there with I'm behind on comics. I don't read them. So,
sorry, thank you for reminding me. I meant to make
There's one comic
I was going to say, because on the list of all the publications, this is at the top. I don't know why I skipped it, but how do you feel about Thrawn getting a comic?
It's going to be a comic of, I think, the book, which is cool.
Okay.
Thrawn!
The Thrawn book, if you're not familiar with the character Thrawn, watch. You can either go back and read the old legend stuff, the Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn, or you can catch up and watch Rebels season 2. And he's in that. You can kind of get an understanding of who he is. Or if you really want to kind of get a feeling of who this new Thrawn is, just read the book. And it's fantastic. It really gets you inside of his head. A lot of the scenes in between, you get to see what he's thinking about a certain person he's talking to. You kind of get this in his mind how he calculates things and is always like 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody. Always, except for the Emperor. He's never ahead of the Emperor. Although I think he did pull a fast one on him, but the Emperor thought it was very good of him to do that.
Nice.
He was like, "You beat me, but I respect you. I won't kill you yet."
Gotta love Imperial efficiency.
Exactly. He thought it was very efficient. So Thrawn wastes no time. He doesn't mess around with the pleasantries. He'll just go.
Does not
and do
suffer
a thing.
fools.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, job security, nil.
Yeah.
Like I've not read this book, but already I like this guy.
Yeah. Thrawn's great.
Yeah.
Thrawn's somebody, once again, you're rooting for someone who's ultimately, quote unquote, on the bad guys team.
Yeah, but
you really enjoy him as a character.
Yeah, in the book, you kind of get the idea that he's part of the Empire only to make sure his people are safe. So that's he'll do whatever it takes to keep his people safe, including destroying everybody else. So that's something. You got to be proud somewhere.
He has his standards. He has his goals.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump obviously to the next topic because we're already off topic of the last topic. So. If you're familiar with Star Wars and you're familiar with lineages like the Skywalker family, which is the overall arcing family of Star Wars, a certain lightsaber gets passed down somehow. You get your hand chopped off, you lose a lightsaber, you get it handed to you maybe by an old guy who lives out in the desert, or you find it in an old castle somewhere. That being said, Hasbro has finally come out with their Force FX version of the Skywalker family lightsaber, now officially called Rey's lightsaber. So for all of you guys who bought Anakin's lightsaber or Luke's lightsaber, well, you now own Rey's lightsaber. Or you can go out and buy the new... I don't know if you can buy the packaging alone. That way you can just have the packaging because it's the same freaking lightsaber every time. But I do have it on authority that you have this lightsaber back when it was Anakin's.
This is actually the story that I feel... have the strongest feelings about on today's show because this has actually happened to me. Like back in 2011, I was just walking around Target and bought a lightsaber because the re-release of Episode 1 in 3D was coming out, so there was a little bit more.
That was a terrible idea.
Yeah, there was a lot more, but there was a lot more Star Wars merchandise out there than there normally was, and I actually got a pretty good deal on a lightsaber, and I took my time thinking through it because they had the green Luke Return of the Jedi lightsaber. They unfortunately did not have Obi-Wan's lightsaber. That one I would have been my first choice because Team Obi-Wan. But they had Anakin's lightsaber, and so I bought it because it was blue and there's a lot of history to it. And I just remember looking back at the package and just having Anakin staring back at me and like,
I don't like Hayden Christensen.
Yeah. Well, no. It's just the character, the actor. I have no qualms with because he was just handed a bad script.
He was.
Yeah. But honestly, after I watched The Force Awakens, I did have a moment where I was so happy when I got home after watching it because I thought this is no longer a Anakin lightsaber. This is a Rey lightsaber. I would brag to friends and coworkers of mine. Yes, this is a Rey lightsaber, and I'm proud to have it. Dang it.
Do you think this is just a cash grab for Lucas?
To a certain extent, I feel it's a cash grab, and quite honestly, I'd be more proud of the fact that it was Anakin's lightsaber. Because quite honestly, he did all this kick-ass stuff, before he was ever Vader.
Watch the Clone Wars. You'll understand.
Okay. Because my impression is that he just lost it in a fight with his dad.
Oh, Anakin?
Yeah. But no, Luke.
It was Anakin's first.
It was Anakin's first.
Yeah.
Given to him by
which he also mistreated the lightsaber in Episode 2 where he got it partially cut off in that machine thing.
Well, he had to rebuild it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But the Kyber crystal itself was still the same. So, anyway.
Yeah, well, for me, I look at it as this is like Durandal and Roland. It's been through all these adventures, and then it gets passed on to another generation, and then passed on to another generation. To me, it's still Durandal or still Anakin Skywalker, Skywalker's lightsaber.
I kind of feel like it should be like the Harry Potter style of handing it trading things. So if you want someone else's one, you have to beat him in a duel.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
That'd be
then
nice.
It becomes yours.
Yeah.
So when you disarm a wizard with his wand, that wand is now yours. It'll only obey you now until you get it, knocked out of your hand by a magic or whatever they use. Yeah. So that's how the Elder Wand became Draco's, just because he knocked it out of Dumbledore's hand. And anyway, I know a lot about
I don't know. I was also thinking that on that logic, then you have Grievous with all his lightsaber.
Oh, he
collection.
stole all his shit. So
Yeah, like that. He just stole. He didn't defeat anyone. He just stole it.
yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna say that if those darn Skywalkers cared so much about their lightsaber, they should have taken better care of it.
Well, that's true too.
It's hurtful, man.
That is
That's hurtful.
You get your hand cut off and you say, "Oh, I need to take better care of my lightsaber." Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
That could be a special episode.
You know, if well,
I got 4 of them up there. We can do an experiment.
well, you know, also, you know, if Vader wanted it back, he could have like force grabbed it while it was in midair. I mean, it would have had Luke's hand attached to it. But
yeah,
he was busy at the time.
It's just that
he had a big reveal to do.
He's not sentimental though. So,
No, he's not.
yeah, there you go.
Well, he had the dark side flowing through him, so he couldn't be sentimental.
Well, plus then Luke would have to just abandon his green lightsaber, which he built on his own. So
That was true. That was another cutscene that should have been not a cutscene. Is you actually
yeah.
get to see Luke assembling his green
I
lightsaber.
saw the extended version had it
Yeah.
where he was actually putting it together.
Yeah.
Just for like
A second.
5 seconds. You
Yeah.
see him like put the final piece on and then put it on his belt.
But I don't know. I think Rey is a very responsible character, and she'll take better care of that lightsaber than any of the Skywalkers
Well,
could have.
yeah, obviously.
Wow.
I don't think she's a Skywalker, but I do believe that she will take better care of it.
I-
Mainly because she was left on Jakku, and what she had is what she had, so she
Yeah.
had to take care of it. So
Exactly.
After that last statement, I'm rooting for something bad to happen to Rey.
Don't say that.
there's a lot of theories. Maybe Rey will go to the dark side. Maybe she'll stay on the light side. I don't know. I can't wait to see the movie. So only time will tell. I can only say that there's going to be an epic.
I think
battle.
we're gonna get a bet going or something before the movie comes out.
I think there's going to be an epic battle because you didn't see the behind the scenes stuff.
No,
I did.
I didn't want to see the behind the scenes stuff because I'd rather. I will watch the behind the scenes stuff after I see a movie.
So you saw the behind the scene things with when she's training. So you get to see. There's going to be a big fight, and it's going to be epic. So we'll see. Maybe she loses his hand in that fight.
I hope not.
There was some news that did come out today that's not on the notes. It's kind of applies to none of this. There's some behind leaked, not really leaked because they looked too studio to be leaked.
There's still leaks, officially leaks.
So there's more behind the scenes footage. It looked like more footage, photos from that the official shoot that happened, the photo shoot that came out a couple weeks ago for Vanity Fair. It looks like something like that. But they have a photo of Luke, but he doesn't have a lightsaber. Like when we saw him, he didn't have a lightsaber on his belt or anything. He has a cane in this or a stick.
Oh no.
Reminds me of Yoda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they're pulling the route of he doesn't need a lightsaber anymore. He's beyond the lightsaber.
I know that.
I see that.
Yeah.
I know that in real life, when they went back to that island to film, they had to, take breaks in between so Mark Hamill could walk up the hills because he's getting up there in years.
Yeah, I met him. You can't see it on film, but that's me with Mark Hamill. Up
Doesn't
there.
look that old.
Yeah, he couldn't talk.
Well,
He lost his voice.
he's got energy. It's just those knees can
It's all the years of Jedi training
Yeah.
and being the Jokers takes toll on the body. Damn it!
I think it harkens back to Lucas's love of the old samurai Juku films. Ironically, they're called Juku films. They have that extrapolates into something else.
Yep.
And also the old Shaolin films where you find that enlightened master who doesn't carry any weapon.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the draw of the Taoist Zen aspect, that philosophy that Lucas kind of put into his works. That was a big influence on him. Because in a lot of, if you watch, like I am, like an old Kung Fu junkie, the funnest characters are the ones that don't have weapons. And they would defeat you with the simplest of things.
Yep.
And you feel like an idiot because they're like, I had a sword and he beat me with chopsticks, or I had a spear and he beat me with a bowl. You know, so I think it's like as you said, the Yoda effect that, lightsaber, quaint. The only way it could be better if he was chain smoking, going, yeah, this is going to hurt you a lot, kid. Then
See,
flip the cigarette butt off to the side.
when I think that, I either think of the was it not Kung Fu Hustle, where you had the old Kung Fu master who was the old lady who was like always smacking people with their shoe. Love that. She's a chain smoker. That's immediately what I saw.
Then the final reveal at the end of all the aged Kung Fu masters living in the same apartment building.
That was incredible. But we're gonna wrap this up. Did we get to the Praetorian Guards?
No, we haven't touched it.
We got 2 subjects left. Then we got there's a photo that came out. There's another leak because they're really clean images of the toys that will be the Praetorian Guards, and they're about as cool as we talked about a couple weeks ago. They're all red, no features really on them. They're very plain looking, and there's no facial like recognition on the helmet. There's like no eyes or anything. It's closed, and they carry a staff weapon or with no like force sensitive stuff on it. So there's like no vibra blades, no saber pikes or anything like. It's just like a blade on a pole. So that's very interesting. Sean, you're kind of familiar with those kind of weapons. Any thoughts of why maybe you'd have a low tech weapon and a
Well, it could be the fact that they're purposely designed to be resistant to force.
maybe?
I mean, remember, it's not canon anymore, but Thrawn had an animal
Yeah.
that he kept with him purposely going, I know the force exists, so thus I'm going to find materials and creatures that defeat force energies. So maybe this is a device of that nature. And the interesting thing about pole arms is all the excitement happens way out there, and you're way back here.
That's true.
And considering how much Jedis like jump around and all that, that's the advantage. I wouldn't want to get really close to a Jedi.
That's true.
As long as they're within that arm reach or reach of that lightsaber, bad things seem to happen. But I would say they're probably some force resistant or force dampening device.
That's a good way of thinking about it. Any thoughts?
My first impression when I saw this red armor was it reminded me very much of Gary Oldman and Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Ooh, nice.
From the opening scene where he's got that crazy looking red armor.
Muscle.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Muscle like dragon type armor.
Yeah.
So that was my first. That was my first thought as soon as I saw
armor.
that. Yeah. So I was gonna ask Sean actually. Like I'm not sure if that armor was based on like Eastern European history or actually based on something Vlad the Impaler wore.
It's actually the time period that they're referring to Vlad the Impaler existing in. Armor by that time had become an art form, and to the point that it was incredibly articulate and lighter and lighter weight materials. So just 100 years before the armor would weigh 15 pounds heavier, by now the armor's a lot lighter, but even better, more durable. And having a muscled texture was not outside the realm. There are armors in Leeds, including a suit of armor made for Henry VIII, that even has whiskers cut into the armor faceplate, so it looks almost human. And people forget we see the bare metal, just like we see ancient Roman statues that are bare marble.
They were decorated.
People painted them to look real. So there were plate armor. Guys would ride out in the armor literally looking like they were what they looked like under the armor. So for it to have the muscle texture, that actually did appear. The lacquer aspect, though, is a little anachronistic, little out of place, but painting the armor, or actually what we'd call like gun bluing the armor today, where they dyed the metal through chemical processes, actually was used. And one of the most disturbing suits of armor were like the winged hussars out of Poland. They had these 9-foot tall wings overall on their backs, and they'd come riding at you with a 25-foot lance. So you would see this hill, you'd see this wall of steel coming at you with these long lances and nothing but wings and steel. So
demons are gonna get you.
Yeah. Are these like wings of a bat?
No, they were eagle wings.
So you could not call these Batmen on horses.
They were like these. Look it up. They're very interesting. But the thing is,
I had to go there.
Just like with the Japanese Kabuto armor, where they had the frowning face and giant mustache to scare you, they would get like faces of someone like scowling and had terror. And even on Henry VIII's armor at Leeds, he had oculuses. He actually had an early pair of glasses made out of brass riveted onto the armor. And it even it's so detailed it even has these gap teeth replicated in the armor. So could it exist? Yeah, it could. The actual enameled is a little out of place, but the rest of it was totally possible.
Okay.
But for me, when I said it struck terror into me, I just imagined if I saw the guy with that helmet on and that full blood red armor coming out and kicking ass, it'd be like, that's just...
We'll go home.
I'm not getting paid enough, dude. Here's the sword. There you go. Helmet. I'm out. You win. Going this way.
So now I really can't wait to see.
Guys, I'm going home.
So now I really can't wait to see these guys in action in the movie.
And
Hopefully they get action.
That was the report from a couple weeks ago that we got that they will actually be in a combat type scene. So thumbs up to that. I'm gonna move it quite along because we have one last topic and we're kind of running out of time. For those who are in favor of Darth Vader, and we have a lot of Vader fans out there. I'm one of them. I love Vader, especially that last scene in Rogue One. That was something. That was an extra scene they filmed as a sort of a reshoot.
Good.
Yeah, that was a good reshoot.
See, guys, reshoots can be fun.
Can we do this one more time? Just one more time, guys.
Can we bring everybody back? I got one scene I want to do. But we've got some sources that are saying at least a con out in Louisville, Kentucky. By the con is called Fandom Fest. I hope it's a cool fest. I've never actually been.
I think I have a friend who's actually been there.
Oh, there you go. But the guy who was in the Vader suit for Rogue One, his name is Spencer Wilding. Porn name? I don't know.
Yeah. Mustache, maybe.
Maybe. He actually had to cancel that con because on the little blurb it says why he can't show up to a con. It says he is going to be filming the next upcoming Star Wars film. So that set the internet on fire. Like, oh my God, we're gonna get Darth Vader in the Han Solo film because that's the only Han Solo film or the only Star Wars film that they're filming right now. Turns out that's not true at all. That came out today. Actually, he came out and said, no, I'm not working on the new the untitled Han Solo film. Sorry, guys. So maybe there was an old article saying maybe he's now in it, or he's doing some pre-shots for Ep9. Thoughts?
Yeah, like at first when they said, "Oh, the guy who is in the Vader suit is in the new Star Wars movie," I thought, I doubt it's Han Solo because I don't want to say that would be cheap, but
that would make sense.
Well, yeah, because it's the right time period.
Yeah.
I just think that scene in Rogue One was too badass and can't be topped. So just don't even try.
Yeah.
Even if we were to see a casual look at Vader, it would not be as It would not be as
they would have to
intimidating.
They would have to cut to like maybe an Imperial installment where he is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it won't make sense. But I could see him in it. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I doubt it. I before I came over, the last story I had seen was just that the actor was going to be in a scene, maybe, but not playing Vader. So yeah, that'd be my guess. If he is in any Star Wars movie, he's just playing a different character. They just need a big guy to get in this right suit, and he'll be I think we're good with Vader. Just you can't top Rogue One. That's all I'm saying.
Sean, Vader and Han Solo, yay or nay?
I'm gonna say nay, just because it takes away from the power of Vader. The more you use Vader, the less power he brings to a scene.
Yep, I agree. I think in the original, when we first saw him in A New Hope, I think he had a total screen time of like maybe 11 minutes total. I think that's like pushing it.
Yeah. And yet the impact
was totally immense. And we got him more obviously in Empire Strikes Back because he was in there more, but they use him well throughout the trilogy, and only when they really, really need to have a big baddie there. You had the Emperor, and you had Vader, and they had Tarkin, and they killed Tarkin with the Death Star, so you only had 2 left. So now I do think it would be a very cheap trick to sort of bring people into that movie because it's a dumpster fire right now. We all know that for the most part. I mean, Ron Howard's probably killing it. He's probably making it way better than it was. Who knows? It was probably already good.
Don't have a trailer yet, so we don't know.
Exactly. So I do think it would be a false move to have him as Darth Vader. Now, having him in the movie as another character or a creature, sure, why not? Bring anybody in.
They had Simon Pegg.
He was on Car Plutt.
Yeah.
So, and Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper. So they didn't announce any of that till like right before the movie came out or right afterwards. Like, oh, by the way, that's James Bond, and you didn't know that, or if you did know that, you heard it in the voice when they said, "And I'll drop my rifle," and I'll drop my rifle.
Yeah, it's like Bond was always a government stooge.
Yeah,
all along.
We knew that all along,
except for when he goes rogue. Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to conclude our wonderful Star Wars show. I want to say thank you guys. If you enjoyed the show, cool. If you didn't enjoy the show, get a life. Just please remember to subscribe, comment, share, like, or dislike. For the likes, we like the likes. But you'll see a subscribe button here, and you'll see last week's episode here. It's just me, though. It's kind of boring. It's like 7 minutes. But you have a really good show over there, so check that one out. But with all that being said, guys, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.